Another day of adventures with Wes and Jeff, and we are at Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. Stay tuned and we'll show you all the things to see and do here at Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone is our oldest and first national park, established in March of 1872, the world's first national park. It attracts 4 million visitors annually and is 3,472 square miles. It's home to more than 10,000 hydrothermal features, and the most popular attraction here is our Old Faithful Geyser. First stop here at Yellowstone National Park is Moose Falls. It's an easy little hike down from the turnout. Beautiful waterfall. Don't miss it. It's Moose Falls. Yellowstone National Park. This is the first lake that you come to from the south entrance, and it's called Lewis Lake. And I was able to find one camping spot, so this is where I'm going to be camping tonight at Lewis Lake here at Yellowstone National Park. Visitor Center at Grant Village. It's one of my first stops just to get a stamp on my book to take a look at what the view of Yellowstone Lake is through this visitor center and maybe ask a question or two. Here outside the Grant Village Visitor Center is a big deck and a great view of Yellowstone Lake.
I can't. I took the last 2 photos.
So faithful here at Yellowstone.
Hey, Danny, Devin, stand up, turn around. Thanks.
And all of these folks have been waiting, and she was about 9 minutes late today at this interval. But Old Faithful gets its name from its reliability. Cycles of its eruptions, but over the last decades, the time between intervals has lengthened and become less predictable. It still erupts 17 times per day, and sometimes reaching a height of 184 feet. It smells like sulfur here, and every time Old Faithful goes off, the show lasts anywhere from 90 seconds to 5 minutes long. And there's a posting throughout the park of when the next eruption is going to occur. The water that comes out of Old Faithful is 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So they keep us far back. The last time Jeff and I was here is about 12 years ago, and we had a buffalo that was right in this same area. So we had rangers that were posted in the area to keep people back just in case the buffalo got too close. But this is the #1 attraction for folks that come to Yellowstone. Probably #2 is to see a buffalo or a moose. Interesting being on this boardwalk trail and seeing them right here. The geysers boiling up that water, and then off in the distance you can see others. Steam coming up. There Old Faithful goes again. This is my second time seeing Old Faithful on this visit, and this is quite a spectacle. Everybody is waiting for it, and it's a good one this time. The last one wasn't as good, but Yellowstone is home to more than half of the world's geysers, in fact. This is a super volcano that we're sitting on, and home to more than 10,000 hydrothermal features. The 5 types of thermal features are geysers, hot springs, mud pots, fumaroles, and travertine terraces. And they're all located here at Yellowstone National Park. I'm in front of the Old Faithful Lodge. They also call it the Old Faithful Inn. And this was built way back in 1903 and 04. And it was made with local logs milled here in Yellowstone National Park and stones that they found here. It's considered to be the largest log structure in the world, so that's pretty cool. And it's played guest to lots of people over the years, presidents and dignitaries, as well as guests here at the park. Here at the Old Faithful Inn Lodge, we're going to take a look inside. There's some old murals and different things that make it very special. Made out of wrought iron. They're doing a tour right here. But look at the old logs that this was made out of. It's on the, look at the staircase. It's really historic and really cool. And it also has this vaulted ceiling that has logs on the top of it as well. And it was designed, look at the old clock here on the wall. And it was designed to have these candlestick looking lanterns throughout. But it has several tiers. It's very, very cool. Very historic. 1903 was when this was built. So, and it has a gift shop, snack shop, a nice place to eat, and we got pictures here. The registration desk over there. It's crawling with people, of course, because it's historic. Look at the staircase up at the top. That's pretty cool too. I just wanted you to see this old lodge and how the historic value of it. And the stone, look at the stone on the fireplace. It's huge. It's very grand. And the dining room is very elegant and a nice little place to eat. I'm at Biscuit Basin, and there's several of the geysers and hot springs, fumaroles. They're all located on this boardwalk that I'm going to take you. At Biscuit Basin, it's a half mile on this boardwalk across here, And it says this thermal basin is particularly volatile and unpredictable. On August the 17th, 1959, an earthquake recorded at 7.5 on the Richter scale had its epicenter right here, just a few miles northwest. 4 days later, the Sapphire Pool began to erupt, violently blowing away the large rock biscuits around the crater. Biscuit Basin was named for those biscuit-shaped mineral formations. Beautiful. It's gonna be a fun hike. Look at these colors. And look how scorched it looks. That one's steaming over there. This one is called the Black Diamond Pool. How it turns kind of it's blue, it's like a sapphire blue, and then it turns to this kind of yellow color as it comes out. Kind of a lot of sulfur smell here. This is called the Sapphire Pool, and it goes really, really deep. You can see it's very clear, but the steam that's coming off of it is really hot. And you can feel it. It's like hotter than like the hot tub steam, but it's really pretty. That one's erupting a little bit right there, right here off of the boardwalk. Apparently it's just like maybe bubbling and it doesn't spew that high, because otherwise they wouldn't let us get close to it. That's for sure. That one's going to town, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's getting feisty. This one is bubbling underground. You could hear it. It's like a good dishwasher or something. Or a washing machine. But it's under the ground. It's not bubbling up. And this one's called the Shell Spring. And it's doing the same. But that one looks a lot different than the other one. Got one on the left and one on the right. That one's making a lot of sounds and gurgling. This one, hot spring, obviously. And this one, wow, it's got some contour to it. And, oh, yeah, that one's interesting. This is a loop trail, so it goes all the way around. Oh, that's what's making all the noise right there. It does sound like a dishwasher or a washing machine. It's called Avocado Spring. This one's called the Mustard Spring. Kind of mustard color around it. But the one next to it, that little hole right over there, is making the noise. So I'm hiking to the Grand Prismatic Spring. It's the largest spring in the United States. And this is a nice little hike along the river here. And you can see how the hot spring water is rushing into the cool waters here and probably making it lukewarm. Beautiful. Colors. All the folks going across the bridge up the hill to take a look at the Grand Prismatic Spring. It's really pretty. I'll show you. I'm at the Midway Geyser Basin, and it's home to the Grand Prismatic Spring, the Excelsior Geyser, and the Turquoise Pool, the Opal Pool. So we're here, we gotta cross over this bridge and then zigzag our way up to the top. And then there's a better viewpoint that's called the overlook. It's the Grand Prismatic Overlook, and I'm gonna do that as well. It's beautiful. See how the boardwalk just goes around that side. This is the Grand Prismatic and Geyser Spring. And the overlook is actually up there. I'm gonna zoom in on it. So if you look up there, you see the people. That's where I'm gonna go. Grand Prismatic is 370 feet in diameter, making it larger than a football field. And the water temperatures reach 160 degrees Fahrenheit. It pours 560 gallons of water per minute into the nearby river, and it is 121 feet deep. This is the Fairy Falls hike. It's 0.8. It's very flat. It goes across this bridge over here, and then it goes flat along the ridge, and then it goes up to where you can view the Grand Prismatic Spring. So that's what I'm going to do next. Level until you get to this part, then it's straight up this hill. So this is the hard part, but it's gonna be a good view when we get to the top. Sneak in here. Nice. So that's the Grand Prismatic Spring, and it is the largest one in hot spring in the United States. And it's a much better view up here than what we saw down below. So if you have your choice of going to either down below or up here, definitely do the overlook. It's a little bit more difficult, but it's definitely worth it. We're going to take a hike down to Gibbon Falls. It's a falls that's only about 400 feet to the overlook, or the lower overlook is 1,000 feet. So we'll see what it takes us down to, and maybe we'll do both. As you're hiking down to the falls, you can hear them from the parking lot almost. So it's, and you can see them as you're walking along this big open paved area like this. And that's the view down to the water. It's paved, it's nice, it's ADA. So I'm gonna take a good look at this. There's the falls there. Wow, they're roaring too. Look at that. So this is the lower overlook, so it's not that far, and you can see the falls pretty good from there. That's beautiful. That's Gibbon Falls here at Yellowstone. Absolutely beautiful. Very fanning waterfall. And it's right along the road. Here's the cars, and there's a nice path. That's Gibbon Falls. So I rounded the corner in the car, and then I saw all this going on. I'm like, oh, I gotta stop here and see which geyser is going off. So unpredictable. Some of them go off, and the park rangers ask you to report it. But let's see what's going on over here. That's what's making all that noise and all that steam. It's just really roaring. And it's starting to rain here, but it's Mother Nature. We kind of just roll with it, right? So, steam's everywhere. This is called Beryl Spring. That's what it's called. Under proper lighting, this spring shines like blue-green gemstone or beryl. Its activity and that of adjacent springs was greatly altered by a 1959 earthquake. The violent agitation of the water is due to volcanic gases, mostly steam. The temperature of the water is usually a few degrees below boiling. It generally oscillates between 188.5 Fahrenheit and 192 Fahrenheit, and is one of the hottest springs in Yellowstone. But you can see the steam is coming out of this little guy right here, right by the road, and it's really coming out of here. Beryl Spring. Cool. Makes a lot of noise. This is an area called Artist Paint Pots, and it's a 1-mile trail that enters partially burned lodgepole pine forest, then winds across a wet meadow on a boardwalk. So it's a hydrothermal area with a short end of the trail that contains colorful hot springs, mud pots, and small geysers. So we're here, and we're gonna walk out to there and around this and check it out. So this Artist Paint Pots trail is way different than the rest of the stuff that I've been doing today here at Yellowstone. There's been no vegetation. Now this is a small little forest, and it's kind of a wet trail because just had a rain shower go through, but hopefully it'll stay away and keep me dry. And it's just 0.6 left out to go to Artist Paint Pots, and it's supposed to be really colorful, so I hope the sun pops out and shines on it for us. Look, the sky is getting sunny, and it's gonna be a better evening. Oh, now we got more boardwalks and thermal water. That looks hot. And it's boiling over there. Uh-oh, looks like the trail's gonna go up the hill. So a little elevation gain for us. Steamy. This is called Blood Geyser, and while the name of the geyser evokes images of a gruesome event, the reality is much tamer. The high concentration of iron oxide in the water precipitates out, staining the surrounding rocks with a rich red color. It has been busily erupted since it was first recorded in 1882. This geyser can erupt up to 6 feet and discharge 150 gallons a minute. All day, and this is the first time we've seen a bubbling mud pot. That's bloop, bloop, bloop. It's a really interesting trail, this artist paint pot. You got the mud pot, you got the steam, got the hot springs, and you got all these boardwalks that go up in elevation and then back down through this little forest and then back onto the boardwalk and then back to the parking area. So it's kind of a nice little diversion. It's definitely one I'm glad I went on. And you should too if you come to Yellowstone National Park. We're at the Norris Geyser Basin and Museum. Now this one, we went to the upper Geyser Basin. We visited the Biscuit Basin and the Midway Geyser Basin. Now we're going to visit the Norris Geyser Basin. So along the Norris Basin Geyser Trail, there's a really cool museum. It's called the Norris Museum, and it's made out of this old stone. And it's pretty cool to go inside and check it out. But just through the breezeway is a great view. We're gonna do that first and check it out and see what's on the other side. Most dynamic geyser basin. So this one is to the Porcelain Basin Trail. You look down there, you can see that's pretty cool. And that goes straight down, and then there's boardwalks that go across it. So there's a couple trails you can take here at the Norris Basin, Geyser Basin. And there's this porcelain one that goes down and around, so it makes a loop. And it goes to the Crackling Lake and Ledge Geyser, Whale's Mouth, etc. We're here at the museum. And then there's this back basin that really winds around and goes all the way around. It's like 1.6 miles, and this is 0.6. So we're going to take the Porcelain Basin trail right now and see how far we can go, because it's getting towards the end of the day and Wes is getting kind of tired. But we're gonna do this and a little loop. So we're on the Porcelain Basin trail, and it's 0.6. It goes down the hill and into that basin, and there's a little overlook that goes that way, or you can go on the boardwalk like this, and it takes you down to the Norris Geyser Basin Porcelain Landscape Trail. So this has a really good overview of this basin. It is pretty dynamic and very interesting terrain. So there's already bubbling pots right here. You can see them bubbling there. And there's steaming ones down there. That's a good overview. So I'm walking along the Norris Basin Geyser Trail here with all these geysers. This is the most dynamic geyser area in Yellowstone. Very pretty, but egg smelling. Yeah, the sulfur is really coming up. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about the geysers here in Yellowstone. The hot springs here are so hot. I mean, they look so inviting when you look at them. You know, the blue water, and it looks just like a hot, like a hot tub. But the water is like 200 degrees, so it's way too hot. And plus, it's acidic in some areas. In fact, Yellowstone's hot springs are so hot and acidic that they can dissolve a human body in a single day. So that's crazy. And in 2016, a visitor actually fell into one of these hot springs that was here in Yellowstone and was gone the next day, which is just crazy. But it's so acidic and it's so hot that it killed him right away, but then it dissolved his body. So kind of gruesome, but it is a fact. And the vibrant colors that you see in a lot of the hot springs and the geysers here, those are the bright look is because of the trillions of microorganisms called thermopiles. So a thermopile, the guys that love the heat and are impossible to see with the naked eye, but they're responsible for giving us the beautiful colors and the great show, so that we can take pictures of them and ooh and ah over it. So that's a little bit about the geysers. I wanted to also talk to you about Yellowstone. How did it get its name? Well, the Indians named it. The Native Americans referred to the yellow sandstone along the Yellowstone River, so that's why they named it Yellowstone. So we didn't name it, they did. So this is pretty cool. The little streams and all the little pots. That's the constant geyser there. And you can see the ones off in the distance. It looks like they're kind of making the clouds right now with the clouds in the distance, but they're not. It's dissipating over time, but there's the blue water. It's kind of a bluish green. You know, in the summer months, the water is a bluish color, but in the winter months, it's more of a green color. So it depends on the time of year that you come, but this right here looks kind of green to me. And that is kind of the iron in it, the orange. This one's so interesting along the boardwalk here. As you walk up, you're like, I hear a stream, but it's actually a bunch of boiling water. You can hear it bubbling right there in multiple spots. It's coming up. You can just hear it and see it. Multiple places. Kind of interesting on the porcelain trail. You got one on this side making this bubbling sound. Then on the other side, you have this one that's kind of like making a little spray like a hose. And then out here, you have these like mud pots that are bubbling up, kind of mud or porcelain looking anthill type things. "21 miles north of Norris Basin is the Mammoth Hot Springs area of the park. It is a large, amazing hot springs complex on a travertine hillside. It was created over thousands of years, and 2 tons of calcium carbonate flow into the Mammoth Springs area each day." I'm at the brink of the Lower Falls Trail, and it's only 0.38, but the bad part is it goes straight down. It's 0.38 of a mile, but a 600-foot drop. So that 600 foot is fine going down, but coming back up is gonna be a challenge. But I'm gonna do it. I want to see the base of the falls, so here we go. Really gushing too. Look at that. That is Yosemite Falls. Go straight down to the base. You can see him walking on the switchbacks. water that's coming down. That's crazy. So I'm hiking the 3/4 of a mile down the 600 feet to the brink of the Lower Falls. And somebody on the trail told me you can drive to the Upper Falls lookout. So I'll do that afterwards. There's a great view here of because the falls are around the corner now. And still got a couple more switchbacks to go. But making our way down. But it's actually a nice little hike through the little forest here. So it's enjoyable. It's around 7:45 in the evening. So it's not as many people, and it's starting to cool off a little bit. A couple mosquitoes, you do need bug spray. That water is moving, and so you have these switchbacks that bring you down the 600 feet, and great views. And then there's this overlook, and this is for the brink of the Lower Falls, not the Upper Falls, because there's 2 cascades of this. And that's it. Man, it's a drop off. It's pretty cool. Look at the water. Yay, we're still there. All right. Look at that. So cool. That water. Whoa. That's the movement of water there. What a drop. That's what it looks like. Really cool. Woo! Gives you a little vertigo almost. Looking over the edge as it cascades and makes that mist. And look at like the moss that's growing there. That's pretty cool. Snow on that bank. It's like you had to do a double take on it. I don't think so, but it is snow. I made it all the way back up to the top, 600 feet. So it's a total of 10 switchbacks. It says several on here. I counted 10, but a couple of them are like 3 times the size of the other ones. And 600 feet down. And the Lower Falls is 308-foot drop. It's the tallest waterfall in Yellowstone, and there are a lot of waterfalls in Yellowstone. There's over 50 waterfalls, and I went to 4 or 5 of them today, so not too bad. There's a lookout point just a little bit further in the same parking lot where you can just drive to it and see the falls. So I'm gonna do that now. As you walk up, you can clearly see the falls below, and it's actually a better vantage point than the brink because you're standing right at the top of it, but it's still very beautiful and powerful. And there's a herd of elk right here by Canyon Village. Nice. Deer. There's a deer in the parking lot. So I did the brink of the lower falls, so I'm gonna definitely do the brink of the upper falls. And it's just 270 feet. So it's just right down here. You head down the hill a little bit. It's not as far as the other one, but it brings you to the top, of course, the brink. So let's take a look and see what the upper falls looks like. So a couple go out to this little point so we can see the falls. Oh, you can go right out to the edge. That's what I'm gonna do. Is go right out to the edge there. That's cool. Not as tall as the lower falls. It's still very impressive. That's a lot of water rushing over that waterfall. Very impressive. The sheer force of that water is just almost scary in itself. But this is the upper falls. Lower falls is just as much. I mean, that's a lot of water. Back in 2022, so just last year, we had a major flood here. Major. It tore out roads. It did a lot of infrastructure damage to this park. So you can see this is just a normal flow. You can imagine that this was like, I don't know how many times more, but it was very destructive. This is very impressive and really a great sight to see. Good morning, and it's time for breakfast. Anybody that knows me knows I have to have at least one cup of coffee in the morning to wake me up, and that's sometimes a challenge to find it at these national parks if you're camping and there's not a nearby restaurant. But fortunate enough, here at Grant Lake Village, the Grant Village restaurant is here, and they open at 6:30 a.m. So I woke up this morning early, so I'm here to go have breakfast at this really cool restaurant that has probably a nice view of Yellowstone Lake. Yellowstone Lake from the restaurant. There's the restaurant up on the hill. Very peaceful. Big lake. Very deep. 410 feet deep. Very peaceful. there I'm at the West Thumb Geyser Basin trail this morning, and it's just a 1 mile boardwalk loop on the shores here of Yellowstone Lake, and it's looks like this. So gonna start here in the parking lot and walk to the shore of Yellowstone Lake and see all these springs and the fishing cone and things that go out into the lake. You can already see all the geysers, and you can smell the sulfur from all the geysers and hot springs that are in this area. I'm gonna go off to the right because it does make a big loop. So it's really pretty with the morning sun, actually shadowed right now by the cloud, but it's right here on the shoreline of the Yellowstone Lake, and it actually protrudes out into the lake in certain areas. So they call this the West Thumb because if you look at a map, it kind of makes a little thumb out into the shoreline there. So thumb paint pots, and that one's boiling right there. There's the shoreline. This one's just kind of like a mud pot. Just a little bit of boil on that one. This has kind of got kind of a greenish color, a lime green color. Bell pool. Look at that, you can see down into it. Walking along the West Thumb Trail here in the morning around 8 o'clock, and it's the best time to do it. It's beautiful across the lake, nice and peaceful and calm, and not too many people out, and just a beautiful, nice little 1 mile hike here. Great shot over the lake. It's just so pretty. There's some darker clouds off in the distance, but I think they're moving away from us, so it won't be too bad. But just a nice reflections off the lake. This explains about the exploded bay. The West Thumb shoreline has suspiciously crater-like contours. Its underwater profile is dramatically deeper than the rest of Yellowstone Lake. Only a massive explosion could have formed the West Thumb. Though the blowout occurred 125,000 years ago, West Thumb is still thermically active. Hot springs, mud pots, geyser steam, and percolate along the shore, and temperature gauges record high heat flow in lake bottom sediments. So that's what it looks like along that's where it is. And it goes out into the lake. The water is so clear here, you can see the bottom, and you can see where there's actual hot springs coming up here into the lake shore. So that's pretty cool. Right there, there's hot water coming into Yellowstone Lake. And down further on the trail, you can see there's some steaming out into the water. So it's a pretty unique area. There's a lot of birds out on the water this morning. Look like ducks. Just really peaceful. This is what it looks like out into the water, and it's pretty cool that right here on the shoreline of the water it protrudes out, and there's a boiling pot right there into the shore. Hot water going into cool water. I'd be kind of comfortable if you get out just a little bit and swim near. It warms the water up a little bit. Kind of interesting to see the geyser up there, and then the overflow comes down and it trickles underneath the boardwalk and right into the lake. And also, I wanted to show you this. Look at this jagged edge. And if you look down a little further, you can see there's water cascading, hot water cascading into Lake Yellowstone. So walking along here, the West Thumb Geyser Basin, and it just seems like another world here. All of these geysers, mud pots, right here at the shoreline. This is, my guidebooks also, this is the painted pool actually. So, this one's called the painted pool. My guidebook said this is a don't miss, and I have to agree. And if you get a chance try and time it to where you're here early morning, like 7:30 to about 9:30, with the sun shining across the lake. Absolutely beautiful, and you get to watch and look at all of these different colors and these geysers that are in mud pools just steaming away 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and putting warm water into the lake. So this was definitely a really cool 1 mile hike all on boardwalks, so it's very accessible for everyone. But it was a really nice trail. I enjoyed it immensely. So if you enjoyed my video here of Yellowstone, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and come with us on our adventure to see all 63 national parks.